Good morning, class. Good morning. Today is Wednesday, April 8th. I'm glad that you are back with me. Thank you for coming back, and you are excited, I hope, about another day of learning. Today, Miss Gaylord has her book she was going to continue to read today. It's called Scampering Through Savannah. Okay, we've been looking at several places in our city through the eyes of this book, and a sister and brother here in the book named Olivia and Noah. Yesterday, as we left off, they had just left Tybee Island and they had seen the lighthouse. From the lighthouse, they could see this. Does anybody know what this is? This is called Fort Pulaski. If you go out to Tybee Island on the way out to the beach and you look to the left, there's an old fort that is a nice place to visit, and you can learn about some history here. It says, yesterday we read, the Tybee Island Lighthouse, remember, was the tallest in and the oldest in the state of Georgia. And from it, you could see a fort. And what was it? The sign says Fort Pulaski, says Olivia. Well, you know that I can't read yet, Olivia. Will you tell me what it says, said Noah. Olivia said, well, it says that during the Civil War, people shot large cannonballs at each other, and the damage the rifled cannonballs did to the brick fort changed how forts were built from then on out. Also, a famous soldier named Robert E. Lee had his first post at this famous fort. Cool, look, Olivia, there's a soldier over there. Maybe he can help us find our way back to the hotel. Excuse me, sir, can you tell us where to find the hotel? Near the big ships? Asked Noah. Big ships? Said the soldier. Oh, I bet that your hotel is near the Ships of the Sea Museum. Hop on that trolley right over there and you can catch a ride back to your hotel. Thanks, called Olivia and Noah, and they ran to catch the trolley. Have you seen the trolleys around downtown Savannah sometime? Attention passengers, a voice said over the loudspeaker. Our next stop will be the Roundhouse Railroad Museum. It's part of the oldest and most complete pre-Civil War railroad manufacturing facility still in use. You can see steam engines there, locomotives, model railroads, and a lot more. So everyone off the trolley. Noah, look at the huge horse and that fancy old carriage. Well, who cares, said Noah. I want to check out those awesome trains. Well, I'm going over for a carriage ride, said Olivia. Maybe it'll take us back to our hotel. Well, okay, Noah agreed. I'm getting hungry, so we better head back. Okay, very good. So now we're about to tomorrow, hopefully we'll finish our book, Scampering Through Savannah. I hope you've learned something about our city as you have listened each morning. Today, as you are getting your things prepared, make sure that you have a piece of paper to write down your Riggs words, please. Okay, go ahead and have your piece of paper handy and your pencil, and find your Riggs journal and find the places that you have written down your words. Okay, and so without looking at those words, let's see if you can remember yesterday's words. Miss Gaylord, remember, is going to give you Monday words and Tuesday's words, okay? And then today you'll get a new set of 6 words, and then tomorrow, Thursday, I'll go ahead and call them all out for you to see how you did on your end of the week test, okay? All right, so let's go ahead and get our paper ready. Number 1, remember, if you need to pause and if it's going too fast, Miss Gaylord can have you pause and then you can catch up with the words, okay? All right, number 1, cabbage. Cabbage. Number 2, careful. Careful. Number 3, cough. Cough. Number 4, shift. Shift. Number 5, blimp. Blimp. Number 6, hatch. Hatch. Number 7, tender. Tender. Now remember, this is the adjective. Like your tender touch was very soft. Tender. Number 8, window. Window. Number 9, cousin. Cousin. Number 10, operate. Operate. Number 11, grade. Grade. And number 12, grape. Grape. Okay, very good. Now don't forget, after you write them, to look at your Riggs journal, okay? Either you check them through your journal or have mom or dad check them, and you need to write the words 3 times each, okay? And don't forget to also type the words that you hear today onto the Riggs form to turn in, so that way I know that you've listened to the video, so that I know that you are getting all the words. Today, if you'll open up your journal, okay, if you will continue to write the next words, you'll get 6 more words today. And they all have to do with money. Money, okay? They have something in common. Not only do they all have to do with money, what part of speech do you think money is? A noun. So today, all the words on our list are actually nouns, okay? All right, let's start with the smallest bit of money. Okay, can you see that? All right, that is called a penny. Penny. How many syllables in the word penny? 2. Very good. It starts with a P. P makes one sound. P has no markings, okay? Eh, eh, eh. E. Very good. What are the sounds of E? Eh, E. The first one is eh, short eh, so there's no markings. Very good. N, N, N. Okay? N makes one sound, so there's no markings on N, except when Miss Gaylord, what did she tell you about when you double a consonant at the end of a syllable? Do you remember? Okay, the first one is silent. How do we mark a word when it's silent? We underline it twice. So you don't hear the first N, you hear the second N. So there's a syllable dot, and you hear the second N, N. No markings, N makes one sound. And then E. What's the ending of penny? A Y. What are the sounds of Y? Ya, I, E. It's the third, the E. So you would put a 3 over the Y for penny. Penny. Okay? Very good. All right. So your penny is the smallest amount of American money. Okay? All right. What's bigger than a penny? What's bigger than a penny? A nickel. You've got it. Nickel. How many syllables in nickel? 2. Very good. Starts with a n. N. N makes one sound. No markings. I. 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 Very good. What are the sounds of I? I, E. So if it's the I, the first sound, do we mark it? No. Very good. Okay. K, k, k. Is it a 1-letter k or a 2-letter k? 2-letter k. Very good. So we put the CK and we underline it. K, 2-letter k that we often use after a single vowel that says a, e, I, our short vowels. Since this is a short I, we use the 2-letter k, k, nick. Syllable dot. Oh, uh. Now, E normally says E. Since it doesn't say that, what do we use? Thinking cap. Very good. Think to spell. Thinking cap E because it doesn't say or E. It says nick says something different. L makes one sound. No markings. Nickel. Okay, and how much is a nickel worth? 5 cents. Very good. Okay, the next bit of money we have would be bigger than a nickel, bigger than a penny. It would be a dime. Very good. Okay, dime. How many syllables in dime? 1. Perfect. All right, so dime starts with a D. D makes one sound. No markings. Okay, I, long I, so we underline it because, excuse me, the job of the E at the end, okay? When we have a long I, 1-syllable word, we hear the I, E, okay? The job of the E would be silent final E lets the vowel say its name and we underline it. Dime. Okay, and how much is the dime worth? 10 cents. Very good. Very good. Okay, so we've got our penny worth 1 cent. We've got our nickel worth 5 cents. And we have our dime that is worth 10 cents. What's bigger than a dime? What's bigger than a dime? Quarter. Quarter. Very good. Okay. How many syllables in the word quarter? Quarter, 2. Okay, it starts with that sound that always goes together. Qua. We underline it because it makes one sound. Okay, now, the next sound for quarter, do we say quar? No. So if we don't use the R and we have the AR, do you think that's a thinking cap? A think to spell. Very good. Doesn't sound like R, like a pirate. It's core. Different. So we put a think to spell. Syllable dot. T. Good. T makes one sound. No markings. What would it be? The of her. Very good. The of her. Underlined because it's a 2-letter sound. Quarter. Okay, very good. Now, the next word that we're going to add would be this word, Okay, and it would be dollar. Good. Okay. How many quarters in a dollar? How many quarters in a dollar? 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. Quarters are worth 25 cents. 4 quarters in a dollar. How many dimes in a dollar? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Dimes are 10 cents, so there are 10 dimes in a dollar. How many nickels in a dollar? If there are 10 dimes in a dollar and there are 2 nickels in a dime, there would be how many nickels in a dollar? 20. Very good. Very good. And how many pennies in a dollar? A lot of pennies. Save your pennies. 100. 100. Very good. Okay, so let's spell dollar. D, 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 D. D makes one sound, so no markings. Okay. Ah. What are the sounds of O? Ah, O, oo, dollar. First sound, no markings. Good. What do we do when we have 2 consonants that are the same? We often double L, F, or S when there are 2 syllables, remember? And we split them at the syllable dot. So do we hear the first L or the second L? The second. So the first L is silent. Dollar. Lur. Okay. Now, AR on this one, is it R? Yes. Okay. 2-letter R. Dollar. Very good. And the last word is money. Money. Okay. All right. So how do we look at money? How many syllables in money? Money. 2. Starts with a M. M makes one sound, no markings. Very good. Okay. Next letter is a O. Is it a ah, money? Oh, money? No, doesn't fit. So what do we do? Think to spell. Very good. Okay. Think to spell, thinking cap. Very good. For money. N. 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 N makes one sound, so there's no markings. Syllable dot. E. E. Ooh, what is that a Y? Is that a E? It's a EY. Okay. Now, it's a 2-letter EY. Okay. It's a 2-letter EY. And it also uses the second sound, E, not the A. Sometimes EY says A. A-E that we do use at the end of English words. English words can end in Y. This one, EY, is sometimes it says A, sometimes it says E. A-E that we do use at the end of English words. So we put a number 2. Very good. All right, so all of these words would fit under what part of speech? A noun. Very good. A noun. Okay, let's review a little bit from yesterday's words. What part of speech is the word grade? Grade. Okay, a grade can be I got a grade on a test. Noun. Good. Okay. Will you grade my paper? Verb. Perfect. Okay. Grape. What part of speech is grape? Okay. Grape. If you eat a grape, it's a noun. I'd like to have some grape Kool-Aid. An adjective. Very good. Very good. Okay. Sometimes we have words that have several parts of speech. Okay. All right. So let's review our phonogram cards today. And this will be the last day this week that we review these. Tomorrow we will not review the cards because we have the test. Okay. The practice test. All right. So The sounds of A makes 4 sounds. A, aw. Two sounds of C. K, S. D, 1 sound. D, D, D. F, 1 sound. Good. G, 2 sounds. G, J. O, 4 sounds. Ah, O, oo, ah. S, 2 sounds. S, Z. Q, U, 1 sound. Qua, qua. Do we have a word today that followed the qua rule? Q always has a U. Quarter. Very good. Quarter. B, 1 sound. B, b. E, 2 sounds. E. H, 1 sound. I, 3 sounds. I, E. J, 1 sound. J. K, 1 sound. K. L, 1 sound. L. M, 1 sound. M. N, 1 sound. N. P, 1 sound. P. Alliteration. Good. Had a little pig, put him in a pen, fed him on peach peelings, went him a little pig, he went pop. R, 1 sound. R. T, 1 sound. T. U, 4 sounds. U, oo, Good. V, 1 sound. V. W, 1 sound. W. X, 1 sound. X. Y, 4 sounds. Ya, it, I, E. What word on our list ended with a E sound of Y? Penny. Good job. Z, 1 sound. Z. Okay. 2 letter sounds. The of her. What word on our list had a the of her? Quarter. Good job. Quarter. The of early. The of works. The of nurse. The of first. Sh. Used at the beginning of a word, at the end of a syllable, but not at the beginning of most words, after the first one, except for the ending ship. Good. E always says E. Good. Th. A, 2-letter A that we do use at the end of English words. A, 2-letter A that we do not use at the end of English words. Why not? Because English words do not end with I. Ow, oh, cow, and snow. What word on our list earlier this week had a O sound with a O-W? Window. Window. Good job. Ow, oh, oo, What word on our list had a sound that spelled O-U? Cousin. Yes, good job. Aw that we do use at the end of English words. Aw that we do not use at the end of English words. You that we do use at the end of English words. You that we do not use at the end of English words. Why not? Because English words do not end with you. Oi that we do use at the end of English words. Oi that we do not use at the end of English words. Why not? Because English words do not end with I. O. Ch, k, sh, ch, k, sh. Ng, e. Sorry. E, a. E, a. R. What word on our list has a R? Dollar. Good. K, 2-letter K, used after a single vowel that says a, e, a. What word on our list has a K sound? 2-letter. Nickel. Good job. Ed, t, past tense ending, or Wha, oo, I, that we do not use at the end of English words. Why not? Because English words do not end with I. O, the O of boat. A, E, that we do use at the end of English words. What word on our list has a E sound? The E in money. Money. A-E that we do not use at the end of English words. Why not? Because English words do not end with I. A, four-letter A. I, three-letter I. E-I, our backwards phonogram. We say E-I, but we write I-E unless it's after a C. Good job. Two-letter used at the end of a base word. Two-letter 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 used both at the beginning and end of a base word. Three-letter used after a single vowel that says a, e, a. O, the O of toe. Three-letter used after a single vowel that says a, e, a. Short letter used at the beginning of any syllable after the first one. Tall letter used at the beginning of any syllable after the first one. Z, used at the beginning of any syllable after the first one. O, oo, uff, off, aw, ow. What word on our list this week had a off sound? Off. Cough. Very good. Very good. Okay. Today, for your treat, each time you get a donut, teacher has a donut for you for the end of Riggs. Good job. Okay, you got your first donut. All right. If you need to take a break, press pause on the video. Press pause on the video, and let's get ready for our next part of the lesson today, which will be in math. Okay, we've already reviewed our money a little bit today. I hope that you've been taking your change, okay, and I hope that you've been laying it out and trying to count different forms and putting it together and trying to make sure that you can count. Try to count as many dimes and nickels and pennies as you can together, quarters, and lay those out today, okay? How much is 1/4, 3 dimes, 1/4, 3 dimes, 1 nickel, and 2 pennies? Let's see if we can figure that out, okay? All right, how much is 1/4? Okay, 25 cents. Good, okay. Plus, how much is 3 dimes? Okay, let's do it together. How much is 3 dimes? 10 cents plus 10 cents plus 10 cents. So how much would that be? 10, 20, 30. So that would be 30 cents, okay? And how much would be 1 nickel? 1 nickel. That would be 5 more cents, okay? Then let's add the, how many did I say? 2 pennies. 2 pennies, okay? The 2 pennies would be how much? 2 cents, okay? So we have 2 cents plus 5 cents plus 30 cents plus 25 cents. Okay, so I kind of ran out of my board. I would make this longer. Okay, so 25 plus 30. Can you do that in your head? 25 plus 30. 25, 35, 45, 55. So that first part would be 55, okay, plus another nickel. 55 plus a nickel, 60 cents plus 2 pennies? 62 cents. 62 cents. There's two ways to write 62 cents. You can write 62 cents, or you can write $62. Okay? You can write it like this. $.62, or you could write 62 cents. Okay, very good. All right, so practice that at home as well. That was not our unit this week, but we had already covered that, so make sure that you are practicing that daily, okay? Another thing that we'd like for you to practice daily is your time. I hope that you've been practicing your time, okay? What time is it? 10 o'clock, okay? What time is it? 10:15. Good job. What time is it? 10:30. Perfect. Okay, what time is it? 10:45. And then what would be the next? 11 o'clock. Very good. Each one of these numbers represents how many minutes? 5. Very good. Okay, so practice when it's in between. Practice when you have a number like this. What time is it? Okay, look at the shorter hand. The shorter hand is called the hour hand. The hour hand is between the 6 and the 7. So this is 6. The minute hand is the longer hand. It is past the 4, but not to the 5. It's 2 minutes past the 4. Can you tell what time it is? The hour is 6, and the minute is past the 4, so it's 22. This would be 6:22. Draw out some clocks, and you have somebody write the time for you maybe, and you can continue practicing your time to make sure that you have that down, okay? Very good. If you are following along in your book today, and you've printed out the pages, if you will turn to this page today, we've been talking about ways to fill a rectangle. We're going to do one page today, and it's on page 262. Okay, so if you've printed it out, we're on 262. Okay, I'll give you a minute to get there. If you need to press pause and find your things, you can do that for me now, okay? 262. We've been talking about shapes in this unit of geometry since we've been learning from home. Do you remember the name of this shape? This shape has 4 straight sides. 2 sides are what we call parallel. These 2 sides are parallel, which means they'll never touch. Okay, this is called a rhombus. Since a rhombus is 4 sides, what do we call a straight-sided figure? This is a quadrilateral. Is this a quadrilateral? Yes, okay, it is. It's got 4 straight sides. In a square, you've got 2 sides that are parallel, and you've also got 2 other sides that are parallel. But the thing about the square is that all sides are equal, okay? A square has 4 sides, and it has 4 of these. What are these called? Angles or vertices. Good job, okay? So this one has 4 sides and 4 angles. And a square is also called a quadrilateral. Very good. This is a 3-sided figure with straight sides with 3 angles and 3 sides. It's a triangle. Very good. Okay. This is another shape that's how many sides? 4. It's got 2 sides that are parallel, but 2 sides that are not parallel because they will touch and cross if they continue to go up. These are not parallel. These are, okay? What do we call this 4-sided shape? A trapezoid. Very good. A trapezoid also has four sides, so we call it a quadrilateral. Is this a quadrilateral? No, it has no straight sides. We call it a circle. Very good. Is this a quadrilateral? No, it has how many sides? 6. What do we call a six-sided figure? Hexagon. A hexagon. Good job. What do we call a five-sided figure? Pentagon. Perfect. Very good. Okay. We also talked about this shape, and we talked about this shape in that it is, let's see with my shape. We talked about this shape, which is also a four-sided figure, and this is called a rectangle. A rectangle. Very good. Now, a rectangle has how many sides? 4. Are all the sides the same length? No, they're not. Okay, so you have 2 sides that are parallel and one length, and you have another 2 sides that are also parallel, but that has a different length. That's what makes a rectangle, okay? Now, in the first lesson of this week, we talked about how you could take a rectangle and you could divide it up into squares. Let me show you that picture again, just so that you can remember. Now, you can take a rectangle, if I can get it to work, and you can divide it up into squares. Okay, here's an example. Okay, if you can see that. Okay, very good. You see this is a four-sided shape where you have 2 long sides and 2 shorter sides. How many squares do we divide this rectangle into? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 squares. Can you tell the way you turn the rectangle tells me how many rows I have? If my rectangle's turned this way, how many rows of squares do I have? One row, 2 rows. I have 2 rows. Okay. How many squares are in each row here? 4. Very good. So I have 1 row with 4 squares, a second row with 4 squares, which gives me a total of 8 squares. Are these squares all the same size? Okay, it's hard to see with my rubber band, but they are. Yes, they are. Okay, so you can take a rectangle. If I turn my rectangle this way, how many rows does the rectangle now have? 1, 2, 3, 4 rows with how many squares in each row? 2. Still 8 squares in the rectangle. Some of you know how to find that number without just counting. Do you remember what Miss Gaylord told you? You could take the number of rows, 1, 2, 3, 4, and you could multiply it by the number in each row, 2. So you'll learn next year 4 times 2 is 8. If I turn it this way, take the number of rows, 1, 2, times the number 1, 2, 3, 4. That's what we call columns. You could still multiply 2 times 4 and get the same number, 8. That'll be a faster way to count the squares for you as you continue to learn, okay? All right, so I'm going to take my dry erase board, and this is also in the shape of a rectangle. Let's just say that these aren't curved on the ends, okay? And I'm going to talk about how we can also take a rectangle and find the total number of squares. Okay, so look on your page on 262, and it gives you in your book, it gives you a diagram of a rectangle. It's turned this way. It's pink. Okay. What number can you add to find the total number of squares to the rectangle at the right? Okay, so let's see. Let's first of all draw the number of rows. How many rows should Miss Gaylord draw? Can you count? 6. Okay. She drew 6 rows. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, so how many squares are in each row? 1, 2, 3. Now this isn't a perfect one. This is just an example, but they're the same size, okay? So there are 1, 2, 3 squares in each row, and there are 6 rows, okay? So now if we were going to write a sentence with how many times would you add this number, okay? You could add 6 3 times, okay? Let's count. I've got 1, okay? I'm going to add 6 3 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. Okay, so there's a couple ways. I could take my time and add all those up 18 times. I could also add 6 3 times. Okay, 6, this is 6. I could add 6 up and add 6 more, which would be 12, and then add 6 more, which would be 18. So in my sentence, I could write, I can add 6 3 times, or I can add 3 6 times. 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18. Okay, so in your sentence, you need to write, I can add 6 3 times, or I can add 3 6 times. See that? Okay. If you need to press pause in the video and stop while you do that, that's fine. Look at number 13. Do you see the yellow rectangles? Okay. Now, it says, Tim says there are a total of 9 squares in this rectangle. Do you agree and explain? Go ahead and think about that right now. Okay. Use your time to think. And I want to show you something while you think. Okay. Look at these. These are all similar in size. I've got this one. I've got this one. Okay. I've got this one. I've got this one. And this one. I just showed you let's see, I have 6 ones here. Do you notice something about these shapes? They are similar in size, but they're not the exact same size. Now look at the yellow picture there. Are all of those shapes the same size? Okay, pretend this is the top row. Okay, this is not yellow, but it's orange. So I've got this one, and this one. Are they the same size? No, they're not all squares. We threw some rectangles in there. This is a rectangle, this is a rectangle, and this is a rectangle, and none of them are the same size as this square. So Tim says there's a total of 9 squares. Is he right? Yes or no? Okay, go ahead and vote. Raise your hand if you think, yes, Tim is right. Yes, Tim is right. No, Tim is not right. Okay, Tim is not right. So you need to write that in your sentence. I do not agree with Tim because, and how would you write that in a good answer? all of the shapes are not the same size. Very good. There are 9 shapes in that square. 3 of those are what? Rectangles. So write that into your sentence as well. 3 of the shapes are rectangles. They're not all the same size square. When you get through writing, press pause if you need to. Look at the analyze, number 14. Molly and Nina paste squares on posters that are the same size. Now, the posters are the same size. You've got 2 posters, same size. Who will use more squares to fill her poster and why? Okay, so let's just pretend, okay, that these are Molly squares. They're this shape, okay? This size, Molly squares. Okay? Now, Nina squares are this size. Are those the same size? No. Nina's are what? Bigger. Who is going to use more squares to fill up her poster? Okay, who's going to use more squares? Is it going to be Nina with the smaller square or, I'm sorry, Molly with the smaller square or Nina with a bigger square? Who's going to use more squares? The smaller square, right? Molly is going to use more squares because, how would you write that? Molly's squares are smaller than Nina's. Nina's, Molly's. She's going to have to use more to fill up the poster. Okay, you write that in a good sentence there. Very good. Okay, so make sure that you are completing the work and that every day there's a math homework. There's a math homework Google form that you'll need to complete and fill out. Now, Ms. Gaylor will look at those individually. So if the answer is marked wrong, that doesn't necessarily mean it's going to get wrong. I think they gave you a partial credit or something. So I'm going to look at those every day and I'm going to see how many you are answering correctly. Okay, so make sure that you are finishing up the Google form under today's homework. All right. Very good. Okay. If you need to press pause on the video, take a brain break, okay? Run around a minute, get yourself some exercise time, do a little go noodle or run outside, do that. And we're going to come back in just a minute and begin our reading, okay? Our reading lesson. All right, if you are following along in your book and you've printed something out from home, you need to be turning to page 328, and you get your donut, by the way, for math. Okay. All right, so we're on page 328. 328 and 29. Okay, so these are articles again today. If you look and see the genre of what you're looking at today, what genre would you say that this one is? We're going to look at today. Now, you know, this week we've been talking about comparing and contrasting 2 different texts. Now, when we've been talking about them, we've also been using our Venn diagram. Okay, so you have a diagram, and that when you draw the Venn diagram, there are parts that are alike and parts that are different, okay? When you look at the parts that are alike, where would you say those are? Good, in the middle, okay? That's the part where you compare. Compare what's alike, contrast what is different, Okay, so today, as we read, I want you to pause the video. Make sure you have read both stories. Okay, so this is going to take some time. Make sure you've paused and you go ahead and read Turn on the Tap by Marissa Walcott, and then go ahead and read Freshwater by Seamus Langworthy. Okay, you're going to have to press pause there. All right. Very good. You're back. Good. Okay. Turn on the tap. Now, as we read, I want to make sure you've already read it, but I want to make sure that you understand too. We're going to look for the we're going to look for what the article is mostly about. Okay. So as you underline something throughout the article as we read, if you think you see the key point that the article's making, go ahead and underline that. That'll help me know that you have it. That you think you know what the author thinks is important. Okay, paragraph 1. Turn on the tap and out pours fresh, clean water. But where does it come from? In many places, water is pumped from lakes and rivers or from under the ground to wells or to treatment plants. There it is cleaned to make it safe to drink. Then pipes carry clean water into our homes. Now in Savannah, the water treatment plant is off on President Street. Miss Gaylord has been there before. There's some paintings on the tanks out there. You may have driven by if you go to the islands or go to the beach on President Street. And that's where Miss Gaylord's been in there on a field trip to see how the water gets cleaned before it runs back through our homes, through our kitchens and bathrooms and such. Paragraph 2. Water is important to people. We need it to live. To stay healthy, we drink it every day. We also use it to get clean and to wash away germs. We think there will always be plenty of water when we need it, but that may not be true. In the past, people wasted water. Water was polluted and with harmful things such as garbage and oil. We must protect our water to make sure we have fresh water in the future. Everyone must help today, so be sure to use water wisely. If you had to guess what you thought the author thought was important, did you underline something in the passage? What do you think is the most important part of the passage? Underline the sentence or two. Paragraph number 2. Water is important to people. We need it to live. Now, this passage gave us some details about water, and it also it has some answers to some questions. Where does the water that we drink, where does it come from? Can you find that in the passage? Okay, look in paragraph number 1. Where does it come from? Okay, it comes from rivers and lakes, right? Or underground from a tap. Okay. Why in the paragraph can you decide that water is so important? Why is water important? Yes, we need it. We need it to live and stay healthy. And not only humans need water, who else needs water? Plants, good, and animals. How can we make sure that we have clean water? What does it say in paragraph 3? Look in paragraph 3. How can we make sure that we have clean water? Don't throw things in the water, garbage and oil and things that are dumped from ships and other things and other factories. Don't pollute. That word pollute means to leave something unwanted, whether it's garbage or trash or oil or something, okay, that's not supposed to be there. Okay, just like we don't litter. Remember, you guys have been doing a good job picking up all your trash on the playground and other things. Okay, so turn on the tap was the first article that you read. Okay, let's look at the second article called Fresh Water. Fresh water is more precious than gold. Without it, Earth would not have plants, animals, or people. We should always treat water with care. But we put harmful things into our water. Dirty water from homes and factories flows from pipes into rivers. Ships dump garbage and oil into lakes. Cities clean this dirty water. They add things that kill the harmful germs. Now the water that comes from the tap is safe to drink. That's what they do at the water treatment plant. They add chemicals to make the water clean again and things that will clean it. Keeping water pure is a big job, but you can help. The less water we use, the better. What can you do? Look at it. Take shorter showers. Don't leave the tap running when you don't need to. Think about when you're brushing teeth in the morning. Turn off the water. Don't throw garbage into bodies of water, into the lakes or rivers. And if you see any garbage in water, pick it up, throw it away. Help keep our water pure and safe for everyone. If you had to say what was the most important part of this article, the second one, go ahead and underline something that you think is the most important part. Okay. Yes, keeping water pure is a big job that we can do. Okay, look in paragraph 4. Fresh water is important. Very good. Okay, so when we say the word fresh water, that means water you can drink, water that is safe, so that's very important. Now, let's look at both of these passages together. Again, Miss Gaylor is going to use her Venn diagram. And what do we call the part that's in the middle? Okay, the part that's alike, that is the part that we compare. We look for the things that are alike in both articles. Okay, so let's start with, I'm going to call it tap. Turn on the tap. I'm going to write that up here so you'll know which one. And then I'm going to call this side fresh water. Okay, all right, so this is the two different articles. Okay, did you see anything that was in common in both articles? Okay, there's no place in your book to write this diagram. So if you'd like to get a piece of paper, you can do it with me, or you can just watch and listen. Okay, what was something in common about both articles? Okay, they both dealt with water. Very good. Okay. They both said that water was important to us. Very good, to live. Okay. They both had reasons why water was important. Okay. They both mentioned something about dirty water. Okay. Very good. Okay. What is the name for when we dirty something up or leave it dirty? We call it pollution. Okay. We talked about pollution in both ones. Okay. All right. So those are just 3 things that they talk about in both articles. Okay. Now, can you think of something in the contrast part that is different in one of the articles? Okay. In one of the articles, it talked about what? Okay. It talked about plants and animals needing water as well. Talked about that in the fresh water. So let's put that under the contrast. Okay. Talked about plants and animals needing. Okay. Which article did it talk about saving water, turning off the faucets and the taps? Okay. That was also in the fresh water side. Okay. Very good. Okay. Where did it talk about to make sure that people will always have plenty of water? Okay. That was in the tap water. Turn on the tap. Okay. So make sure that people will have plenty of water. We don't want to waste it. Okay. So a lot of the two articles were very similar and they mentioned some things. Let's turn over to page 330 and answer some of the questions here. What is the most important point in paragraph 2 of Turn on the Tap? Let's look back. What's the most important point of paragraph 2? Water is important to people. We need it to live. To stay healthy, we drink it every day. We also use it to get clean and to wash away germs. We think there'll be plenty of it, but there may not always be. What's the most important part of that paragraph? Is it A, people need water to live? B, we drink water every day? C, water washes away germs? Or D, we may not always have enough water? Now, some of those are details that are not the most important part of the passage. Can you tell which one is the most important? The one about washing away germs? No, that's a detail. We drink it every day? Is it mostly about that? No, that's a detail. Okay, those are reasons. What is the most important part? A, good. People need water to live. Part B tells you to write one sentence from paragraph 2 that supports that answer. We need water to live. So flip back over and give me the sentence that tells me why water is so important. It's sentence number 1. Number 1, good. Now you are to be writing these in, typing them into your document that we uploaded. Remember to turn back in at the end of the week. Water is important to people. We need it to live. And then you can tell me a little bit about that. As you answer the rest of the questions, I want you to do it's number 2, 3, and 4 by yourself. Now, when you get to number 4, you're going to look at 3 answers. Circle 3 things from the list below that the author of Fresh Water says we can do to keep our water pure. You're going to have 3, okay? So I want you to press pause on the video, and I want you to do number 2, 3, and 4 on your own, okay? Okay, you're back. Number 2. What did you answer? Which important part is in both articles? Which one would be under both? Both articles. A, water comes from the oceans. B, there'll always be enough clean water. C, we must protect our water. And D, ships dump garbage into lakes. Which one was in common in both? Okay. Which one did you answer? Good. Number C. We must protect our water. Protect it. Number 3. What important point is in fresh water, but not in Turn on the Tap? Okay. A, we should use water carefully. That's in both. B, water is clean to make it safe to drink. That's in both. C, people put harmful things into the water. Or D, everyone can help keep water safe. D, very good, D. Now the last question, therefore, you had to circle 3 answers, okay? Circle 3 things from the list below that the author of Fresh Water says we can do to keep our water pure. Can you tell me what 3 you circled? Don't throw garbage into lakes and rivers. Yay, you got that one right. So A was a yes. Good, circle. B, don't leave the tap running when you need to. Don't need to. Yay, B was a yes. Only drink water from the tap. No, not in both. Close down factories that send dirty water into rivers. No, it didn't say that. E, take shorter showers. Yes, we can all do that. So we circled A, B, and E. All right. So take your diagram that you talked about, the contrasting parts that are different and the comparing parts that are the same, and use that in your talk. What are both of the articles mostly about? Protecting our water. Very good. Water being important to our lives. How are they different? Think about what you wrote here. How are they the same? Think about what you wrote here. And you need to type up a short response to fill in. Okay, there's a place on 333 for you to make your diagram and for you to write your short response. What should both articles mention? Water is important to people. Okay. Water needs to be protected and kept clean. People need water to live. Very good. Okay. So use your information. And then if you want to list some things, the ways that they're different, you can also write them in good sentences. Okay. Very good. All right. You just got your third donut today. Now you have 3. Very good. Very good. Okay. You got 2 more to get. 2 more. All right. Today, if you need to press pause after reading and take a quick break, take a brain break or something else, go ahead and do that. Ms. Gaylord's going to get ready to jump into social studies. Okay. All right. Now, let's see if I can find it on my computer. As I'm finding my information, don't forget that you also have daily website work. Okay. I've been checking to see if you've been on the Google, in the Google Classroom. There's a place for you to look at. There's a daily website work in iReady. Make sure you're spending your 20 minutes a day in math. Okay. And there's also a place for you to spend your 20 minutes a day in reading iReady and math. I can look up those numbers on the computer to see how many minutes you've spent in each. And you also need to do the same thing with your MobyMax. Okay. Fact fluency, science, and social studies are also important. Okay. We've been talking in social studies about our economy. Okay. And remember that Ms. Gaylord talked about resources. Okay. What are some resources? People are resources. Very good. Okay. What kind of job is this? Service job. This is a person and a resource. What kind of resources are these? Money. Good. What kind of resources are these? Natural resources. And what kind of resources is this? Equipment. Very good. Okay. We've talked about, we're almost wrapped up with today and tomorrow, and then a little bit next week, we'll wrap up our study on economy. Okay. And today we're going to review just a little bit about some things we've already talked about. Okay. If you look at the PowerPoint, Ms. Gaylord has some things you've seen before. Which items are goods and which are services? So I'm going to call out the what's on the picture, and you just say goods or services. Okay. A car wash. Service. Very good. Shoes. Good. Soccer ball. Good. Okay. Lawn care. Service. Nice. Car repair. Service. Purse. Good. Computer. A good. And delivery. A service. So good. On your PowerPoint today, I just wanted to review a little bit. What are goods? Now remember, goods are things people can make. Goods can be touched and held. If you look around, you can see a lot of goods you use every day. At school, you would use goods like pencils, paper, books. The clothes you wear are goods. The foods you eat are goods. Things you buy are goods. Your toys, your furniture, towels, television, much more. Sometimes your parents may get something that costs more, like a car, computer, smartphone. Sometimes goods don't cost a lot of money. They can be very cheap because people built your house. Even your house is a good. Now, what is it called when you have two goods and you have to give up one good to get another? You only have a certain amount of money. You call the good that you're going to give up that opportunity cost. You're going to keep one good. Okay, very good. We also talked about goods yesterday with bartering. Do you remember the story I told you about the fisherman and the knife? He needed a good and there was no money to be had. There was no money back then. So he needed a good. What did he do to get the good that he needed? He traded for it, remember? He went to get the knife from the knife maker. The knife maker said, "I'm sorry, I just traded for a fish. I don't need a knife, but I could use a hat." He went to the hat maker. "Hey, I have this knife. Can you please trade me a knife for the hat so I can go back to the knife maker and trade him the hat to get the things that I need?" He said, "No, but if you go to the baker, I need a loaf of bread." Went to the baker. "Can I?" And the story goes on and on. If you read it, you can look it up, and it goes even further than that. I only told you a part of it. But the baker finally gave the bread. The fisherman was able to take that to the hat maker and trade for what he needed, a hat, and then take the hat to the knife maker and trade his fish for the knife. And it was just a long process. What do we call that? Bartering. Very good. We learned that, bartering. Okay. So on the next slide you had to review today is a service. Service is an action that people do. Services cannot be touched or held. Just think, there are lots of people around you that provide services. A barber gives haircuts. A chef cooks food. A doctor examines you when you're sick. The bus driver takes you to school. A mechanic repairs your car. Remember, we talked about these are all valuable services. Did you know that teaching was a service too? Your teacher performs a very important service for you to learn, okay? And today's lesson begins with money. Now, yesterday we learned about bartering. Money solves a lot of the problem, and I don't have to barter anymore. I can take the money and I can exchange it for something. Money is called a medium of exchange. This means you can trade the money for what you want. I want the donut. I'm going to pay for it. It's called a medium of exchange. Now, money today has a set value, okay? You know how much each coin is worth that we talked about earlier. You know how much each dollar bill is worth. This one's worth 10. This one's worth 5. This one might be worth $1. Money has a set value, and you know how much each one is worth. And how do we get this money? Well, we have to earn it. No, we don't take it. We earn it, right? People work at their jobs to earn money. And then people get to use their money to buy goods and services, okay? Goods and services. Now, I want to hire someone to, I need somebody to repair my car because I cannot fix it on my own. I'm going to have to pay money for that, right? Okay. And so I'm going to I don't trade anymore. I can't take my hat or my bread or my knife or my fish. I'm going to have to pay money today for that. Okay. When I go into a restaurant, this money will get me the food that I want. I don't have to barter and say, I'll clean the dishes at the end of the meal if you'll give me a meal. We don't say that. Instead, we use money today. Okay. And so that's what our lesson is on today. Money makes things easier. I don't want to have to go and worry every time if I'm going to have to do a service for somebody to get something bought. Instead, money being my medium of exchange makes it easier. When I go into the restaurant, I don't worry about bartering. I just pay the money and I get the thing that I need. There's a Google form in your lesson that I need you to fill out today. It's a true and false grade. I need you to do that today, if you will, please. And then tomorrow we'll wrap up this lesson on economics. Okay? Very good. All right. You just listened for another bit of social studies. So you get the fourth donut, and now we need to earn one more. Now you have four. Remember these? Okay. All right. So the last thing, if you need to press pause, do so quickly. And then for ELA today, I want to get back out our book. If you have found a copy of your book, pat yourself on the back. Thank you for doing that. Some of you have borrowed, some of you found it, some of you maybe ordered it. Some of you may be reading it online with us with the PDF that Miss Gaylord sent. Yesterday, we left off at page 29. Can you summarize the story for me so far? Can you tell me what's happened so far? Tell somebody at home, maybe if you want to press pause and tell somebody what's happened so far. Okay, who are our main characters? Okay, Fern, Arable. Okay, Wilbur. So far we've learned. Okay, who owns the farm that they live at? Mr. Zuckerman. Okay, who's the hired man that helps and feeds Wilbur and takes care of him? Lurvy. Very good. Okay, do you remember Fern's brother's name? We'll meet him again too. Avery. Very good. Okay. As we left off, remember Wilbur had gotten out of the pig pen and he had run around and he had come back tired. And the next time we meet him, this was chapter 4. He was in a state of loneliness. He was lonely and he was asking all of the animals, "Will you play with me? Will you play with me?" "Oh, be quiet," the lamb said, "and play by yourself. I don't play with pigs." Remember, nobody wanted to play with Wilbur. And here we are at the top of 29. Sadly, Wilbur lay down and listened to the rain, and soon he saw the rat climbing down a slanting board that he used as a stairway. Do you remember the rat's name? Templeton. Templeton. "Will you play with me?" Templeton asked Wilbur. "Play?" said Templeton, twirling his whiskers. "Play? I hardly know the meaning of the word." "Well," said Wilbur, "it means to have fun, to frolic, to run and skip and make merry." "I never do those things if I can avoid them," replied the rat sourly. "I prefer to spend my time gnawing, spying, and hiding. I'm a glutton, but not a merrymaker." Anybody know what a glutton would be? Okay, maybe someone who does too much of something. Maybe they eat too much, or a glutton for you just do it too much. "Right now I'm on my way to your trough," said Templeton, "to eat your breakfast, since you haven't got the sense enough to eat it yourself." And Templeton the rat crept stealthily along the wall and disappeared into a private tunnel that he had dug between the door and the trough in Wilbur's yard. What do you think the meaning of the word stealthily would be? Okay, sneaky, privately. Good. Templeton was a crafty rat, and he had things pretty much his own way. The tunnel was an example of his skill and cunning. Cunning here would mean his smarts, his craftiness. The tunnel enabled him to get from the barn to his hiding place under the pig trough without having to come out in the open. He had tunnels and runways all over Mr. Zuckerman's farm, and he could get from one place to another without being seen. Usually he slept during the daytime and was abroad only after dark. Now, why would a rat not want to come out during the daytime? Okay. He likes to sneakily get the food and get what he wants and go back to the dark, right? Wilbur watched him disappear into his tunnel. In a moment, he saw the rat's sharp nose poke out from underneath the wooden trough. Cautiously, Templeton pulled himself up over the edge of the trough. Do you remember what a trough was? Okay, the feeding tray for the animals. This was almost more than Wilbur could stand. On this dreary, rainy day, to see his breakfast being eaten by somebody else? He knew that Templeton was getting soaked out there in the pouring rain, but even that didn't comfort him. Friendless, dejected, and hungry, he threw himself down in the manure and sobbed. Now, what would you say is the attitude of Wilbur right now? He's very sad. Yes, it says he's dejected. It means he's sad. He's in a bad mood. He's feeling lonely and like he doesn't have any friends in the world. Late that afternoon, Lurvy went to Mr. Zuckerman. He said, I think there's something wrong with the pig of yours. He has not touched his food. Now, would that be common for a pig? No. Give him 2 spoonfuls of sulfur and a little molasses, said Mr. Zuckerman. Wilbur could not believe what was happening to him when Lurvy caught him and forced the medicine down his throat. This was certainly the worst day of his life. He did not know whether he could endure this awful loneliness anymore. Darkness settled over everything, and soon there were only shadows and the noises of the sheep, chewing their cuds, and occasionally the rattle of a cow chain up overhead. You can imagine Wilbur's surprise when out of the darkness came a small voice he had never heard before. It sounded rather thin but pleasant. Do you want a friend, Wilbur? It said. I'll be a friend to you. I have watched you all day and I like you. But I can't see you, said Wilbur, jumping to his feet. Where are you? Who are you? I'm right up here, said the voice. Go to sleep. You'll see me in the morning. Who do you think the friend is? Do you think it's someone that Wilbur's already met? No, it's someone new. Chapter 5, page 32, Charlotte. The night seemed long. Wilbur's stomach was empty and his mind was full. And when your stomach is empty and your mind is full, it's always hard to sleep. A dozen times during the night, Wilbur woke and stared into the blackness, listening to the sounds and trying to figure out what time it was. A barn is never perfectly quiet. Even at midnight, there's usually something stirring. The first time he woke, he heard Templeton gnawing a hole in the grain bin. Okay, what is the word gnawing? 2-letter. Okay, to bite, to gnaw. It's a G-N. Good. Templeton's teeth scraped loud against the wood and made quite a racket, which would be a noise. That crazy rat, thought Wilbur. Why does he have to stay up all night, grinding his clashers and destroying people's property? Why can't he go to sleep like any decent animal? The second time Wilbur awoke, he heard the goose turning on her nest and chuckling to herself. What time is it? Wilbur said to the goose. Probably about 11:30, said the goose. Why aren't you asleep, Wilbur? Too many things on my mind, said Wilbur. Well, said the goose, that's not my trouble. I have nothing at all on my mind, but I have too many things under my behind. Have you ever tried to sleep while sitting on 8 eggs? No, replied Wilbur. I suppose that it is uncomfortable. How long does it take for a goose egg to hatch? Approximately 30 days all told, answered the goose. But I cheat a little. On warm afternoons, I just pull a little straw over the eggs and I go out for a walk. How many days does it take for the baby chick to hatch? Okay, we learned that earlier, about 28 to 30, remember? Wilbur yawned and went back to sleep. In his dreams, he heard again the voice saying, I'll be a friend to you. Go to sleep. You'll see me in the morning. About half an hour before dawn, Wilbur woke and listened. The barn was still dark. The sheep lay motionless. Even the goose was quiet. Overhead on the main floor, nothing stirred. Okay, do you know what they mean by stirred? Nothing was moving around. The cows were resting. The horses dozed. Templeton had quit work and gone off somewhere on an errand. Who's Templeton? The rat. The only sound was a slight scraping noise from the rooftop where the weather vane swung back and forth. Wilbur loved the barn when it was like this, calm and quiet, waiting for light. Day is almost here, he thought. Through a small window, a faint gleam appeared. One by one, the stars went out, and Wilbur could see the goose a few feet away. She sat with her head tucked under a wing. Then he could see the sheep and the lambs. The sky lightened. Oh, beautiful day, it is here at last. Wilbur thought, today I shall find my friend. Wilbur looked everywhere. He searched in his pen thoroughly, which means completely. He examined the window ledge. He stared up at the ceiling. He saw nothing new. He hated to break the lovely stillness of dawn by using his voice, but he couldn't think of any other way to locate the mysterious new friend who was nowhere to be seen. So Wilbur cleared his throat. Attention, please, he said in a loud, firm voice. Will the party who addressed me at bedtime last night kindly make himself or herself known by giving an appropriate sign or signal? Wilbur paused and listened. All the other animals lifted their heads and stared at him. Wilbur blushed, but he was determined to get in touch with this unknown friend. Attention, please, he said, and he repeated the message. Will the party who addressed me at bedtime last night kindly speak up? Please tell me where you are if you're my friend. The sheep looked at each other in disgust. Stop your nonsense, Wilbur, said the older sheep. If you have a new friend here, you're probably disturbing his rest. And the quickest way to spoil a friendship is to wake somebody up in the morning before he is ready. How can you be sure that your friend is an early riser? I beg everyone's pardon, Wilbur whispered. I didn't mean to be objectionable, which means I didn't mean to hurt your feelings. He lay down meekly, which is without being proud, into the manure, facing the door. He did not know it, but his friend was very near. And the old sheep was right. The friend was still asleep. Soon Lurvy appeared with slops for breakfast. Wilbur rushed out, ate everything in a hurry, and licked the trough. The sheep moved off down the lane, and the gander, which is the male goose, waddled along behind them, pulling grass. And then, just as Wilbur was settling down from his morning nap, he heard that thin voice again, that voice that had addressed him last night. Do you have a prediction of who you think it might be? Do you have an idea of who it might be? It might just be the spider. We're going to pause here today. If you can go ahead and read ahead in chapter 5, we're on page 35. If you'd like to finish up the rest of the chapter, that'd be great. And then Miss Gaylord will try to wrap it up tomorrow. Okay? All right. So if you have questions about things, remember that you can email. And you can also make sure that you are following all the work make sure you look under the work for week of April 6th. Okay. Now, the already has to be done. It cannot be moved to the next week, but the other things, Ms. Gaylord can, since Friday is a holiday, we will have our Zoom room. But if you need to turn something in Monday, I will still accept it. But remember, I sent your parents the email about making sure you mark the turn in button in order to get credit, okay? Because I can't see who's done the work if you don't mark the turn in button every time. Even when you watch this live lesson in just a minute when it's finished, mark turn in. I have watched it, okay? All right. Thank you for listening today, and I hope that you've had a good morning. I hope that you are staying safe and that you are getting out and getting some sunshine and doing all the other things, art that you like, music, PE, and Spanish and other things, okay? All right, so I will see you next time. Okay, thank you for a good lesson. Bye-bye.